When you shop at Ace Hardware in Everett and Lake Stevens, we'll help you find what you're looking for and offer friendly advice too. Owners Greg and Christine are all about serving their customers and their community. They support local high school sports and many other community organizations and events. So the next time you need help with your to-do list or project around the house, bring it to Ace. They'll greet you at the door and help you find whatever you need fast. Show your support for locally owned businesses. Shop Ace Hardware just off Highway 9 in Lake Stevens and Evergreenway in Everett. Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Hello, volleyball fans, and welcome to Grizzly Country. This is Glacier Peak High School, and we're here with STSPN.com for an early season Wesco 4A matchup between a pair of 2-1 teams, the visiting Mount Vernon Bulldogs and the home team, the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. I'm Matty Bishop alongside my color commentator David Gillespie and our producer Todd Elvig, bringing you all the action this evening. Todd, this is not necessarily, or David, pardon me, this is not necessarily a rivalry match, but this is a really important early season match as both of these teams are going to look to keep Lake Stevens, the only undefeated team in Wesco 4A, within striking distance.
Yeah, and both teams being 2-1, both trying to get a win here to improve their mark to 3-1, of course, and get off to a hot start in the season and get ready for that tough competitor in Lake Stevens. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out with both teams having the same record and both teams just trying to really prove their worth in the Wesco Conference.
So we're going to see a battle of two standout outside hitters. For Mount Vernon, it's senior Olivia Pratt. She's only 5'8". She jumps really well, swings a really heavy paw, and on the Glacier Peak side, it's another undersized outside hitter. It's Natalie Ayotte, listed at 5'6". Natalie jumps out of the gym, and her jump topspin serve could have a huge impact on this game tonight here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Of course, this Wesco 4A matchup brought to you by Ace Hardware in Lake Stevens, McDaniel's Do-It Center, GNS Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, our friends at Fred's Rivertown Ale House in Snohomish. The end of the match will produce the Adrenaline Fundraiser Player of the Match, and Speedway Chevrolet has helped to bring you all the action this year. We're underway. Here's Olivia Pratt with the first swing, and it's the big block from Sydney Peterson and Carly Bond for Glacier Peak. Picked up nicely and put away by Pratt for her first kill of the night.
Yeah, Pratt getting off with a good start for Mount Vernon, up 1-0 right now, and be interesting to see how this unfolds as the first set continues.
Mount Vernon Bulldogs head coach Michelle Keltner said that her libero, number 6, Lily Zavala, was a player to keep an eye on. She works from the service line there. Just out of play, Glacier Peak brings that big jump topspin serve for Natalie Ayotte back to the service line. Setter dump by Abby Bikeman, 5'7" senior for Mount Vernon. This Mount Vernon team, a bit of a surprise so far in the early season. One thing I noticed in the warm-up is they're playing a really fast tempo offense with the senior leadership of Bikeman handling the setting responsibilities. Little misfire there. That's the downside of that fast tempo offense, David, is sometimes when you're trying to work things a little bit quicker, that timing's not quite right early season. It takes a little time to work through.
Yeah, you need to find your own, signature style and work within it comfortably. Don't rush it. You don't want to get ahead of yourself and then have some costly errors, especially early on in the first set where you can find yourself down and having to climb your way back up, not just from the score, but also that sort of atmosphere that's pressing on you.
Sydney Peterson at the service line for the Grizzlies. That was Carly Bond with the kill there. New setter this year for Glacier Peak, number 8, Claire Johnson, senior. Looks handling the setting duties here early on. She's got an outside hitter, Christina Argue, number 23, also a senior. We're waiting on something. The ball was called, the official's saying that ball was called out of play. It was a pretty obvious touch, I thought. On the kill by Bond, it bounced off the defender. Don't have the benefit of replay today, but I was pretty confident that I saw a touch there. Nonetheless, the mental toughness of the Grizzlies is going to get tested here early on. Checking into the match, the libero Kate Hansen takes the spot of Peterson. And early in a game, what type of, you get a bad call or you get a call you don't agree with, how do you recover from that?
You just got to forget about it, honestly, and move on from that particular play, because if you hold on to that for an extended period of time, it's going to come back to bite you in the worst way possible. And this is not exactly how you want to, handle a tough, a tightly contested Wesco matchup against Mount Vernon. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond from here on out.
Christina Argue with the swing there for Glacier Peak, but on the right side it's Shelby Lee for the Bulldogs who gets the kill. Olivia Pratt at the service line. So this will be where Glacier Peak looks to take advantage. When they get the big senior outside hitter into the back row, she can no longer attack at the net. Of course, she's going to do some work with her serve. Argue goes deep corner. Nice job picking that ball up by Emma Gluth, the junior middle. For Lake Stevens, the ball comes off the tape, and she just pops it up in the air. Christina Argue goes and gets that one. Into the match for the Grizzlies now. Jordan Sprink will serve.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how how Mount Vernon's front court handles Glacier Peak's front court, with them having the size advantage over Mount Vernon. Of course, Emma Gluth at 6 foot tall, and Claire Johnson at 5'10" herself. So having to deal with that size disadvantage is going to be a tough battle to have to contend with.
Glacier Peak running the 6-2. Sprink will stay into set. Miss serve there by the Bulldogs as Alexis Aguilar. So we're going to see, looks like Claire Johnson's going to stay in. She's going to play right side across the front row as Natalie Ayotte rotates to the front now. So this should be a good rotation for Glacier Peak. Christina Argue at the service line. Bikeman unable to control. Free ball sent by Lee. Here's Sprink. That ball's back and a big swing down the line, and there's Claire Johnson. So she played a good bit of right side last year, if I remember correctly, for the Grizzlies. She's picking right up where she left off. Glacier Peak, one of those rare teams that has a gluttony of left-handed players right now. You don't see that very often. You see one or two. Glacier Peak, I believe, has 3 on their roster.
And to add to that, with the chemistry they had on that last play, I mean, how much more effective could it be? Having those two advantages, having the chemistry and then being left-handed, having to contend against both those aspects of their play. I mean, it's not easy for any team.
Shelby Lee gets the block there against Natalie Ayotte, and you see the advantage of running the 6-2. The dig by the setter Sprink, and the other setter Claire Johnson steps right in and sets up their outside. Back to serve now Sarah Ware for the Bulldogs. Here's Sprink. In the middle, and the big block from Grace Paulette, only listed at 5'8", but she went up and did the job against Emma Gluth, the 6-foot junior. So there's timing oftentimes can negate a lot of that size advantage.
Absolutely. A way to make up for the lack of size is working on your timing, is knowing exactly when to attack the ball, and right there she was on point as could be.
Some early hiccups here from Glacier Peak. That's Christina Argue misfiring on the back row attack that time. Ware continues to serve for Mount Vernon. These two teams faced off at the Kent Classic last weekend. It was Mount Vernon who came out on top of that one. See the libero Kate Hansen back to the service line for Glacier Peak, and it is number 16 Sydney Peterson, the senior middle, back into the front row, and she has been a huge portion of Glacier Peak's offense for the past 2 seasons. She makes a dig there. Back outside, Natalie Ayotte. Big top spin. Nice play and a good set by Bikeman for Summer Bean. Mentioned by her head coach at the beginning of the match when I was chatting with her. Michelle Keltner said that number 3, Summer Bean, an outside hitter, a senior for the Bulldogs, has done a lot of work this summer, really improved, and we see it on that play there.
Yeah, Mount Vernon holding the lead right now early in the first set, 9-6. And not showing any signs of slowing down thus far.
Argue struggles with that serve from Bean. It's a down ball that somehow Olivia Pratt keeps in play. Here's Jordan Spring. Sydney Peterson with her first swing of the match. Hammers that one down off the block, and that's a proven recipe for success for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, setting Sydney Peterson in the middle of the court.
And this is exactly how you want to start off the match, with having that lead early in the first set. Because obviously as time winds on, having to deal with the crowd in addition to being down initially is going to be a tough battle to have to cope with. And Mount Vernon set the tone early in such a commanding fashion, despite, again, not having the size advantage. Because Glacier Peak, three players on their team having a 6-foot-tall frame at least.
Olivia Pratt with 2 quick kills for the Bulldogs there. It's Lily Zavala at the service line for Mount Vernon, and this team playing with a confidence that we're not necessarily accustomed to. A misfire there between Johnson and Hansen, and Glacier Peak's head coach Dave Thorne takes an early timeout. We're going to go ahead and take an early timeout as well here on STSPN.com. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Did you know that Speedway Chevrolet is part of the Lee Johnson Auto family? That means 84 years of serving you the LJ way. Need a truck? We have the perfect truck to fit your needs. Half tons, 1 ton, 2-wheel drives, and 4-wheel drives. Our finance specialists are here to help you, whether you have good credit or bad credit. We're just off Highway 522 at West Main Street in Monroe.
Lee Johnson Auto Family, the LJ way.
And welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School. I'm Matty Bishop alongside David Gillespie, bringing you this Wesco 4A matchup. So all Mount Vernon here early. Lily Zavala at the service line for the Bulldogs. Olivia Pratt with a handful of kills early on, and Glacier Peak needs to figure some things out in their serve receive. It's Ayotte, Hansen, and Carly Bond back there. Natalie Ayotte, Claire Johnson. Tip up over the top from Peterson. That ball is picked up by Bikeman. Out of system set Zavala. Pratt looks for the tip. Nice layout dig from Ayotte. Carly Bond, the big lefty. Pick up by Zavala. Here's Bikeman. And the net violation called against Mount Vernon was Olivia Pratt. And that's going to be one of those challenges of an undersized team trying to get up against a bigger hitter. You've got to hold your block just a little longer. Ayotte misses with the big jump top spin. Checking into the match for Mount Vernon, Shelby Lee back into the front row. She takes the place of Sarah Ware. Back to the service line is Abby Bikeman, the setter. Hansen, Claire Johnson, Bond the lefty. Nice pickup by Lee. Outside, here's Pratt. Cross court and down. Nice tight angle swing from Olivia Pratt, and I've been really impressed with her so far, David.
Yeah, it's been terrific watching her thus far, really making a significant impact on this match early for Mount Vernon and the Bulldogs in general. So great job by her thus far, and a great battle for them to defend the spike and then deliver a spike of their own to get another point and ascend to a 6-point lead now.
Free ball for Zavala. Shelby Lee tees off. Ayotte sends it back over first touch. Here's Pratt. Nice pickup by Argue this time. Bond just tries to push it over, and Olivia Pratt says, no, ma'am.
And speak of the devil, again, making her name known again with that play right there, and just making a significant impact yet again for Mount Vernon on that play.
Hannah Varghese checks into the match for Christina Argue, as she's had some trouble with her serve receive. Hannah going to get an opportunity here, and it's another service ace for Bikeman, and it is all Mount Vernon here in Grizzly country in set number 1. Eichmann goes after Ayat. Johnson pops that ball back. Peterson can't connect really. She just pushes it back over. Here's Pratt. And there's Carly Bond with the solo stuff.
I think she had enough of Pratt dominating this match already, so there was her answer right there. And now they have to continue their rhythm so they can get back into this match.
Service ace from Peterson certainly helped with that. So into the front row, we have Emma Gluth back in. Junior middle, Sydney Peterson at the service line. So another big blocking lineup for Glacier Peak. Little jump top spin from Peterson. That ball slapped just out of play. Was the middle Alexis Aguilar who just missed on that one, trying to place it deep corner. Peterson again, big jump top spin. Zavala can't handle that one. She's got 2 aces in this trip to the service line, and Glacier Peak working their way right back into this one.
Yeah, now cutting the deficit previously in half from 8 to 4 now, where that was their biggest deficit of the match, and now just only down 4 where they can potentially get back into this in just a few points now.
Bikeman goes with the back set for Pratt there, working out a rotation 1. Your outside hitter's hitting on the right side out of serve receive. It looks like Livy misfired on that one. Here's Peterson again. She goes right after Pratt. This set going all the way across for Lee. Roll shot up over the top. There's Ayat. Johnson pushes this ball outside for Varghese, looking for the touch, and a touch is given.
Just a great serve by Varghese. Honestly, that was as effective as it could get. Hitting that top left line in the back there, it was just as strong as you could possibly want it to be.
Big high hand swing from Hannah. Sydney Peterson continuing to serve. Zavala, Bikeman back for Pratt. Little tip over the top, and the middle Peterson couldn't get down to cover that one, and Mount Vernon gets a much needed side out. To the front row comes Summer Bean. She'll be your left pin. Olivia Pratt back at the service line. Hansen, Ayat, and Varghese, your serve receive for Glacier Peak, and there's a service ace for Pratt. Hannah Varghese can't control that one. Serve receive, one of the most difficult aspects of the game. We see a shift here. Ayat, Hansen, and Bond now. This ball right after Hansen. Ayat's going to have to run it down all the way to the back wall. Varghese sends it over. Free ball for the Bulldogs. Zavala, Bikeman, quick to the right for Shelby Lee. Picked up off the cover by Pratt, and hammering it off the block is Summer Bean, and Mount Vernon with confidence. Another timeout for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies.
And this is where Glacier Peak needs to really reset themselves and reset their own individual tone, because being down by 5 as the set gets closer and closer to the end.
McDaniel's Do-It Center is located in beautiful Snohomish, Washington. Locally owned and operated for over 4
Our hands here tonight.
Yeah, keeping it pretty close in the first set. Going to be interesting to see who ends up taking the lead, an even more significant lead potentially in the second set.
Of course, we'll play best 3 out of 5 with the first 4 going to 25. The 5th one, if needed, will go to 15. Olivia Pratt will continue at the service line for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. Tough serve right at Bond, overfeed, and it's an easy kill for Alexis Aguilar, and that's exactly what you want. If you can't get the service ace, you at least convince the other team to set for your middle. Nice work by Pratt. Again, this time it's Hansen. Ayat with the out-of-system set for Varghese. She can't get that one up over the tape. 4 contacts is the call against Glacier Peak. So Dave Thorne's made the early substitution, or the first set of substitution at the outside hitter spot without much effect. Here's Ayat out of the back row. Her shot up over the top dug by Zavala. Bikeman has to run that one down. Pratt out of the center back. Ayat picks it up but can't contain it. It's off the official, and another kill for number 14, Olivia Pratt.
Clearly the MVP of tonight for Mount Vernon, and really taking it to him as a one-woman show. You know, it's just been, she's been all over the court. As a server, in the front court, in the back court, anywhere you want, she's been making her name known, making a significant impact for this Mount Vernon team early.
Net violation called against the Bulldogs as Pratt makes the dig on the roll shot over the top, and then she comes asking for the substitution. Looks like it was a planned substitution. Naomi Oates comes into the match for Mount Vernon. So if we were giving away an adrenaline fundraising player of the match for set number 1, no doubt Olivia Pratt of the Mount Vernon Bulldogs would be walking away with a free t-shirt tonight. We've got a lot more volleyball in front of us here in this Wesco 4A matchup. Misfire on the serve there by Jordan Sprink. Sprink, a junior setter for Glacier Peak. They graduated both their setters last year. Alyssa Zalda and Sierra Pratt shared the setting duties for the Grizzlies. Both have moved on in their volleyball career. Misfire by Aguilar trades the score back. So late in set number 1, Glacier Peak maybe not looking to win the set here, but looking to find ways that they can build some momentum. Ashley Cordero, senior defensive specialist, in to serve for the Grizzlies. Zavala. Bikeman. Shelby Lee slaps out over the top. Nice dig by Hansen. Net violation on Ayat as somehow she got caught in a weird position. Touched the net on her way through, and that is not allowed. That's going to bring Sarah Ware back to serve for set point here in set number 1.
Yeah, Glacier Peak with a net violation in the previous service error. Not a good way to end the final points of what seems to be for set number 1.
Kate Hansen to the service line for the Grizzlies now. Sydney Peterson back into the front row. Jordan Sprink is your setter. Ashley Cordero is your defensive specialist. There's a big swing and a put down by Claire Johnson. Hansen will continue to serve. Hansen serves. This one's Sarah Ware. Back set for, that was number 1, Grace Pollitt, who puts down set point in set number 1. And the Glacier Peak Grizzlies drop the first set at home to the Mount Vernon Bulldogs 25-18. And it was all Mount Vernon, David.
Absolutely, and making up for the lack of size by using their speed and using their positioning and being disciplined from the serve, not making costly errors like we saw Glacier Peak make in the waning points of set number 1 with the service error, and you had the net violation. I mean, this is a really disciplined Mount Vernon team, and of course they're led by their star player Olivia Pratt, who had a significant impact in set number 1.
So one thing we know, head coach of the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, Dave Thorne, has quite a bit of coaching experience, much of it at the collegiate D1 level. We'll see what kind of magic he's got up his sleeve for set number 2 here from Glacier Peak High School. We'll be right back in about a minute and a half. Everybody stick with us on STSPN.com. That's okay. It's all about finding rhythm, right? First time we worked together, and we were doing a really nice job. So you stick with it for good. And sometimes I just get going and it goes through. So bear with me a little bit as well. Two-time West
Rivertown Ale House was established in July of 1994 and is located at 1114 First Street in historic downtown Snohomish. Each time you visit the ale house, you may expect to find new beers and new food choices. Fred's Rivertown Ale House is well known throughout the beer community. Oftentimes, we are the first choice for breweries to introduce new beers, limited or specialty beers, and beers you just won't find anyplace else. At Fred's, we like to say that once we get you through the front door, our friendly service, relaxed family atmosphere, and our quality food and beverages will keep you coming back.
Every year, thousands of groups depend on Adrenaline Fundraising to help reach their financial goals. Adrenaline Fundraising is about developing leaders through commitment, work ethic, and follow through. Adrenaline has several products including gold cards, coupon books, cookie dough, donation programs, and many other options to help teams raise the funds needed for their programs. Adrenaline's new app called UpPay will help teams raise money while providing their supporters the ability to earn cash back on everyday purchases at places like Starbucks, Nike, Red Robin, and over 200 plus national retailers. Adrenaline Fundraising is this season's sponsor of the STSPN's Play of the Game Award.
Welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School, where the home team, the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, dropped set number 1. It was the Mount Vernon Bulldogs in dominating fashion behind an exceptional performance from Olivia Pratt in set number 1. I'm Matty Bishop alongside David Gillespie and our producer Todd Elvig, bringing you this early season Wesco 4A matchup. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, if you like what you see here, if you want more of these events for volleyball, more of these events for basketball, football, if you want more, STSPN.com. Do us a favor, get out and tell those sponsors that you saw them on STSPN.com, that you appreciate them helping to bring high school sports to really shine a light on these athletes. David, you were a high school athlete in Wesco at Shorecrest. Talk to us a little bit about the extra work that goes in that just a regular student doesn't necessarily have to do.
Well, here's the thing, and especially, I mean, I could start off from the get-go from just being a student athlete and the time it takes to really, to execute your duties as an athlete on the team if you want to, be a legitimate participant on the team. And that was time-consuming. I mean, having to deal with whether it was wrestling, which is just a grueling 2 hours, and then some potentially of whether it was live wrestling, drilling and all that stuff, using every muscle in your body. I mean, it was all it took a huge physical toll on everyone, and if you really wanted to excel in that sport, you would have to do more than just the 2-hour practice. You'd have to go to camps in the off season. You would have to, spend that extra hour after practice or in football watching an extra hour of tape, as I did when I was playing there. So for me to be as successful as I was, and I wasn't incredibly successful, but having the success of qualifying for regionals in wrestling and starting as a defensive end for our state tournament team for football, for Shorecrest football, my junior and senior year, I had to contribute more than just the bare minimum, and of course that would be just going to the practices. You had to do more than that if you wanted to really make a name for yourself and really take the team to the next level, and that's what is ultimately required if you want to do that.
We see it was Summer Bean who got Mount Vernon off to a good start there in set number 2. There was a swing by Sydney Peterson from the left pin that bounced off the antenna. Olivia Pratt with a put away on the overfeed. And now we've got Claire Johnson at the service line. She's serving and setting for Glacier Peak. Service ace from her there. I can tell you these volleyball girls, it's no exception. We've got them, not only are they playing indoor, they're playing beach through the spring and summer. They're traveling, they're training multiple nights a week. Oh, sweet little dump and an illegal back row attack called against the setter, Abby Beichman. And so she jumps, and that quick little dump with the left hand, if she's a back row player, it must be below the height of the net. I don't understand how she's not out of rotation. Or maybe called a lift. That's a very strict call for a lift. She is a front row player right now. She's playing out of that middle front spot. So the lift call, and that was a beautiful play by Beichman, negated by the official. Carly Bond looking for the hands. No touch detected once again, and it's Mount Vernon with the serve. Grace Pollitt back to serve for the Bulldogs. She goes after Cordero, overfeed, easy putback, and an easy kill from Olivia Pratt. So again, it's the serve receive that's really hurting Glacier Peak right now, as they can't get a pass to work with. They have offensive tools on the floor in Ayotte, Peterson, and Bond. But again, here we are with the set coming from 28 feet off the net. That's not a recipe for success. Olivia Pratt, nice pickup by Natalie Ayotte. Ashley Cordero with the out-of-system set. And a net violation, it looked like, and not called, as it looked like Beichman got into the net as she came down from that jump set, but it's going to be another kill for Olivia Pratt, and the Bulldogs continue to roll.
And Glacier Peak had the lead early, but obviously the ball is so, no pun intended, is pointing in the court of of Mount Vernon, who's really starting to find their rhythm in this second set. Now only up by 1, but still, again, maintaining the lead of set number 2.
So there's Sydney Peterson with the big kill out of the middle. And one thing that you'll find when you have a offense that's so strong in the middle, another team will try and take away your passing. If you can't pass, you can't set that middle. Service ace from Natalie Ayotte there for the Grizzlies. And we're back knotted up at 5. But we've only seen Peterson get a couple swings out of the middle, and that is, again, huge credit to the aggressive service game of the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. Ayotte misses that one just long. Bikeman back to serve. Shelby Lee checks into the front row, taking the place of Sarah Ware. Bikeman down the line, and it's Argue who's back in the match. The overfeed dealt with. Peterson slaps over the top. Nice pickup there by Summer Bean. Johnson with the dig. Out of system set for Hansen. Back row attack from Natalie Ayotte, and she puts that down. Nice out of system play. Good recognition between Hansen and Ayotte.
Yeah, great setup from Ayotte to get the ball over the net, and then have to force Mount Vernon to adjust, and they were not able to do so, and as a result, it's tied up yet again.
Zavala with the nice pass. Big swing from Shelby Lee. Good dig by Glacier Peak, and Carly Bond thought she had hammered it down. Lee sends a free ball over. Pass Ayotte. Set Johnson. Chucked down the line by Arguing. Another great pickup from Zavala. Bikeman sends this one over right to the middle back Ayotte. Johnson again, right side now. Carly Bond pounds that one through the block.
What a kill by Carly Bond, really setting the tone now as they take the lead 7-6. And just what Glacier Peak needs to get back into their rhythm and take control of this set and tied up 1-1 apiece in this matchup.
Peterson with that big jump top spin again. It was effective towards the end of set number 1. There's Pratt, pick up by Ayotte, out of system set from Peterson. Argue chucks that ball over the top. Zavala, what a play to keep it alive. Aguilar sends it back over. Peterson with the pass into the middle. There's Gluth. Back outside now. Here's Pratt with the swing over the top. Dig Ayotte. Johnson out of the back row. Ayotte clean. She was behind the line. Pick up by Bikeman. Bikeman sends a little free ball over the top. Johnson outside now for Argue. Looking for the high hands. No touch detected. That's a point for the Bulldogs. Got ourselves some good volleyball going on here.
Yeah, it's much better than the it looked like it was really getting out of hand early in the first set, where they were down at 1 point, Glacier Peak being down by 8 points, and it was getting pretty ugly. But now we got ourselves a set where this could be interesting to see who ends up coming out, because it's hard to see who it ultimately favors right now.
Two evenly matched teams. Olivia Pratt at the service line. She's been a huge difference for the Bulldogs so far tonight. Natalie Ayotte, perfect pass for Johnson. Carly Bond pounds that one off of Summer Bean. Bikeman, back set, going to the right side for Shelby Lee, and Hansen can't handle that one. Lee with the kill. Nice set from Bikeman as she changes the direction of the offense. Everyone thought it was going to come right back to Summer Bean, and it goes all the way back to the right pin for Lee. Pratt continues to serve. Bond, nice pass from her. She'll get the swing, and just a little ball off the block that Pratt couldn't handle. Nice kill for Carly Bond as she had a good trip across the front row there. She'll make way for the second setter, Jordan Sprink. That brings Claire Johnson to the front row. She'll be your right side for the Grizzlies.
And Glacier Peak doing a great job of establishing position, and furthermore getting Mount Vernon out of position, offensively. So really effective job they've been able to do thus far in set number 2.
Sprint goes after Summer Bean. Nice pass from her. Misfire from Shelby Lee on the right side. That ball just out of play. Bulldogs get an easy side out. That'll bring Grace Pullett back into the front row. The libero, Lily Zavala, at the service line. She misfires. A rare miscue from her. She's been very good tonight as well. And for Glacier Peak, it's going to be Ashley Cordero, the senior defensive specialist. She's going to check in to serve and play some defense. She'll be in the back row along with Hansen, the libero, and Sprink, the setter. Nice pass from Zavala. Bikeman. Lots of options. She goes to Bean, and Bean hammers it off the block of, pardon me, that is the block of Emma Gluth. Shelby Lee at the service line. Mount Vernon up 1-0, 25-18 in set number 1. Cordero can't contain that one, and it's the serve-receive woes that Glacier Peak has been working through all evening. Continuing a bit here in set number 2.
It'll be interesting to see how Glacier Peak responds with Olivia Pratt taken out of the lineup right now. So can they take advantage with their lineup not having their star player in Mount Vernon, or will this be another set that Mount Vernon takes control of?
Nice swing by Grace Paulette. The timing was a little weird. The look was a little weird, and I'm not sure the defense knew quite what to make of it, but Grace somehow found a way to keep that ball in play. She'll get credit for the kill there. Lee continues to serve. Working on Cordero. And that's going to bring a timeout here from the Grizzlies as they were right in it. Things have started to slip away. We're going to take a quick timeout as well here on STSPN.com. Back in 30 seconds.
We are all frustrated with the high cost of heating and cooling our homes. At GNS, we are complete size, quietly efficient Lennox heat pumps that keep your life simply perfect. Call GNS Heating, Cooling, and Electric today or visit us at gsheating.com.
Welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School. Maddie Bishop alongside David Gillespie and our producer Todd Elvick, bringing you the action from Glacier Peak versus Mount Vernon here on STSPN.com. Thanks for watching volleyball, everybody. Hey, if you like this, let's get some numbers. Tell your friends. Share this link. Get more people watching volleyball on STSPN.com. You know what happens when we do that, David?
What happens?
We get more volleyball on STSPN.com.
Shelby, bob it up for you.
Shelby Lee continuing at the service line. That one's a struggle from Emma Gluth, who's dropped back to pass now. Glacier Peak looking for some answers on serve receive. They don't particularly care where it comes from. They're just trying to get somebody back there to put up a settable ball. Shelby Lee would prefer they not, as she's having a grand time at the service line here in set number 2. Hansen. Run down by Sprink into the middle, and that's a nice awkward swing from Claire Johnson as the ball never quite made it across her body to her hitting arm. Nice job of adjusting the point of contact. She'll get credit for the kill and a much-needed side out for the Grizzlies.
Glacier Peak trying to inch their way closer to tying the mark of 15 set by Mount Vernon in set number 2 this far. So let's see how they respond with of course, again, Olivia Pratt, their star player, being out of the lineup right now. Or, excuse me, getting back in now.
She comes back into the front row, taking the place of Naomi Oates. Back to the service line is the senior Summer Bean. Been very good tonight. Cordero misfires. As we get a substitution coming now, it's going to be going back into the match for Cordero. Christina Argue. Going to get an opportunity to pass this ball, perhaps. Kate Hansen jumps in front of her. It's an overfeed and a kill for Olivia Pratt. She really doesn't care who sets for her. She's going to go up and hammer the ball every opportunity that she gets.
Absolutely, and she looked like she didn't, she wasn't, she was back into her rhythm from the previous set after taking a quick break, and now she's back to it yet again.
Christina Argue gives the perfect pass, and it's Natalie Ayotte with the huge reach and the tip over the top. So Glacier Peak dropped 5 out of 6 players back into serve receive. Can't honestly say that I've seen that in a very, very long time. It was a 5-player, what is usually a try line with 3 players. It was 5 players across on that one, just trying to get a pass up. Meanwhile, Lily Zavala on the other side puts a pretty good pass up. Christina Argue takes advantage of the free ball, and there's the big hammer from Sydney Peterson. Summer Bean would like to have an opportunity to dig that one again, but Sydney was such a high point of contact, difficult to read, and that ball comes at a little faster pace than you might be used to seeing if you're a little bit smaller team. Ball run down by Ware. Pollitt sends the free ball. Argue, perfect pass for Johnson. Here's Peterson again.
Peterson using that size and that strength to just hammer that one down. I mean, it had no chance whatsoever for Mount Vernon to contend against, and now now Glacier Peak only finds themselves down by 5 or 4.
And there's a service ace from Claire Johnson. So Glacier Peak working their way back into this one. Sydney Peterson has been on the recruiting radar for quite a while, and I heard rumor, I don't have confirmation, apologies. I heard rumor that she is Division I bound, but I don't know where. As that set was a little funky off the hands of Bikeman. No call. Pratt gets the kill off the hands of Peterson. So she's that kind of talent. Big, strong, dynamic in the middle. And if you can get that passing dialed in, you can build an entire offense around her. Of course, the big if is if you can get that passing dialed in. There's Kate Hansen with the perfect pass, and Peterson hammers that one down. Mount Vernon, when it works for GP, Mount Vernon doesn't have an answer to that. Alexis Aguilar just doesn't have the height to really go up and take that away. Peterson hitting right over the block. Here's the big jump topspin from Natalie Ayotte. She gets a service ace.
Glacier Peak really using that size to their advantage tonight in this set in particular. We didn't see much of it in the first set, but now finally hitting their rhythm. And really down by 2. Glacier Peak really taking control late in this set right now over the last few points.
And when the other team gets in a rhythm, what do, Coach? You call a timeout. Michelle Keltner for the Bulldogs takes a timeout here. Take just a moment to talk to you a little bit about Uprising Volleyball. This is Snohomish County's only year-round beach volleyball program. We've got an indoor beach volleyball court in Mukilteo, Washington. We've got tryouts for our year-round beach mastery program coming up in a couple weeks, October 13th and 14th. We've got tons of competition, different ways to get out and get in the sand. If you have not played beach volleyball, you should. If you have not played beach volleyball at Uprising Volleyball, what's wrong with you? Check us out, uprisingvolleyball.com. Natalie Ayotte, she's got a Seaside Championship under her belt, a very accomplished beach player. She's working her jump topspin from the service line, and that's another ace for Ayotte. Kate Hansen as well, very accomplished beach player. Her dad, Aaron Hansen, one of the best beach players ever to come out of the Snohomish County area. Ayotte overfeed from Zavala, kind of a pokey dig from Peterson there. Swing on the outside for Argy. Here's Bikeman for Pratt. Looking for the high hands. No touch is detected, and that ties it up for Glacier Peak.
And this is exactly what Glacier Peak needs to shift the tides and finally get back into taking control of this second set. It's tied up 19-19.
Bikeman chucks that one across for Pratt, and it's Sydney Peterson with the monster block in the middle. Mount Vernon all of a sudden stuck looking for an answer. So one time you don't really have to pass the ball is when you've got the serve, and Glacier Peak taking full advantage. Another big topspin serve. Zavala, the dump. Nice pickup from Ayotte, and a miscommunication between Johnson and Bond. So Abby Bikeman takes that into her own hands there and changes the tempo a little bit. She'll go back to the service line. Into the match comes Shelby Lee, and this is a good front row for Mount Vernon. They'll try and push points here late in set number 1, and it'll start with an Abby Bikeman service ace over the head of Christina Argue.
Glacier Peak needs to find their stride late in this set to ensure that they can find themselves still in this contest, but very tough battle against this strong Mount Vernon team.
Nice job by Christina Argue to pound that ball off the block, keep Mount Vernon out of system. Glacier Peak gets the free ball back, and that's an easy conversion for Sydney Peterson. The bad news for Glacier Peak is she goes back to the service line now, where she's been effective, but not nearly as effective as she's been for the last 8 points or so playing middle. That ball rolled over the top by Pratt. Nice dig, and there's Carly Bond, and finally the size and power of Glacier Peak on display here towards the end of set number 2. Peterson will continue to serve. It's rotation 1 for the Bulldogs, so Pratt will hit from the right pin out of serve receive, and Peterson working right on her service ace that time.
I believe this is their largest lead of any set throughout the night, being up by 2 over Mount Vernon.
Michelle Keltner with the timeout for the Bulldogs. We're going to take a quick timeout here at the end of set number 2 on STSPN.com.
When you shop at Ace Hardware in Everett and Lake Stevens, we'll help you find what you're looking for and offer friendly advice too. Owners Greg and Christine are all about serving their customers and their community. They support local high school sports and many other community organizations and events. So the next time you need help with your to-do list or project around the house, bring it to Ace. They'll greet you at the door and help you find whatever you need fast. Show your support for locally owned businesses. Shop Ace Hardware just off Highway 9 in Lake Stevens and Everett Greenway in Everett. Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Welcome back. Sydney Peterson at the service line. It's a pass from Olivia Pratt, and that ball punched off the antenna by Shelby Lee, and it is set point here in set number 2 for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. David, we had all but written them off, and they have stormed back here, largely on the play of Sydney Peterson, who finishes it with the ace.
And I think it's moments like those that we just saw right there of why she's being considered a D1 volleyball player, because she has certainly taken control and has been the spark in this team in set number 2 to take the set away from Mount Vernon and tie it up 1 apiece.
So here we go. We've got bonus volleyball guaranteed tonight here from Glacier Peak High School. We're going to take a quick little break right now. Maddie Bishop on behalf of David Gillespie bringing you the call on STSPN.com, everybody. See you in about 2 minutes.
Every year, thousands of groups depend on Adrenaline Fundraising to help reach their financial goals. Adrenaline Fundraising is about developing leaders through commitment, work ethic, and follow through. Adrenaline has several products including gold cards, coupon books, cookie dough, donation programs, and many other options to help teams raise the funds needed for their programs. Adrenaline's new app called UpPay will help teams raise money while providing their supporters the ability to earn cash back on everyday purchases at places like Starbucks, Nike, Red Robin, and over 200 plus national retailers. Adrenaline Fundraising is this season's sponsor of the STSPN's Play of the Game Award.
We are all frustrated with the high cost of heating and cooling our homes. At GNS, we are completely changing the way you keep your home comfortable. Because we are Snohomish County's premier Lennox dealer, we can design a perfect system for you, one that will save you a lot of money on your utility bill. The Lennox Home Comfort System creates the ideal home environment. Enjoy innovation in every season with precise, quietly efficient Lennox heat pumps that keep your life simply perfect. Call GNS Heating, Cooling, and Electric today or visit us at gsheating.com.
Welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School. We're tied at 1 set apiece. The Glacier Peak Grizzlies and the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. I'm Matty Bishop alongside David Gillespie and our producer, the man behind STSPN.com, Mr. Todd Elvig. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So set number 1 was the Olivia Pratt show for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. David, set number 2, the Sydney Peterson show for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. What do you think we're going to see here in set number 3?
I have no idea what to expect. It was as exciting as it could have been to see them rally back and really make this a match again, because it looked pretty ugly for Glacier Peak early on in set number 1, being down as much as 8 points and then taking control the way they did, led by Ashley Peterson, who again getting some D1 attention potentially for the future, and yeah, finding themselves back in this because of her leadership.
Right out of the gates, it's Sydney Peterson with the kill. Kate Hansen with the dig on the out-of-system off-tempo play from Olivia Pratt. Claire Johnson at the service line for the Grizzlies, and she gets the service ace. And so sometimes when it rains, it pours, and momentum is a funny thing. Lily Zavala has been so good all night, but suddenly Glacier Peak grabs the initiative, and just a little mental lapse on that pass there. Johnson trying to do a bit too much with that serve as she misses the short spot. She was going after the setter, Beichman, in transition. That brings Grace Pollitt back to the service line for the Bulldogs.
And that's the thing, too, with volleyball. Once you're in a zone, once you're in a rhythm, you're in that rhythm, okay? You find yourself hitting everything that you could possibly imagine, and it's just a matter of who shakes who out of their particular rhythm. So, of course, in the first set, that was Mount Vernon showing their chemistry on display, putting that on display, and then Glacier Peak responding with a spectacular performance of their own.
Sydney Peterson with a high-quality out-of-system set for Carly Bond, who put that ball right on the end line. Nice all-around play from Peterson. A service ace from Natalie Ayotte as she goes after Shelby Lee. The jump topspin serve from both her and Peterson have been very effective, and that's something that not a lot of high school players do. If you don't see it in practice, it takes a long time to figure out how to effectively pass that ball. Out-of-system play from Pratt there. Peterson puts it back. Pratt with the cover. Summer Bean out of the back row. Ayotte just slaps at that one as she couldn't get her platform around. She tried to go gator with her hands, and it didn't work out. Mount Vernon gets a much-needed side out and brings Abby Beichman back to the service line. That brings Shelby Lee into the front row for them, and this should be a good rotation for the Bulldogs. Christina Argue struggles with that serve run down by Hansen. Johnson sends the free ball for Pratt. Beichman, right side, Lee off the block, pick up Ayotte, and a net violation call. I believe it was against, I don't know if it was against 16 or 23. I couldn't see the hand signal, but that's an unfortunate one because the block disrupted the hit. Ayotte got the dig, and Glacier Peak had the advantage. Instead, we send Beichman back to the service line. It's a very creative set attempt from Johnson as the low line drive pass from Argue.
And Ayotte is one of those people you can clearly tell from watching her that she's a technician. She's someone who's experienced in playing volleyball, knows exactly what she's doing, knows exactly the type of position she needs to be in, the type of serve she needs to serve, and clearly putting that on display early on in set number 3.
You know, I met Natalie Ayotte, I believe it was her U12 year, and she has been part of some amazing indoor teams. As we mentioned, she's got a Seaside National Championship. That's about the coolest thing that you can do if you're a beach player in the Pacific Northwest, as we see a double call against Beichman there, and that was a pretty athletic move by her. Not sure I would have blown that whistle, but then again, they don't trust me with whistles. Sydney Peterson misses that one. Kate Hansen checks back in for serve-receive duties. That means that Emma Gluth is in the front row, along with Argue and Bond. They go after Argue, and that's a really tight pass from her. And if anything, maybe a little bit of a lift. Yep, lift called against Johnson as she's just trying to bring that ball back however she can. We see a shift. Carly Bond drops back to pass now along with Hansen and Ayat. Hansen, another tight set. And that ball contacted under the height of the nets, dug back, then blocked back by the Bulldogs, then sent back over. I thought maybe we'd get an illegal back row attack there, but the official deemed that Johnson's contact occurred below the height of the net. Carly Bond struggles with the pass there. Argue now, roll shot over the top. Picked up by Bikeman, out of system set from Zavala, right side for Lee, and that one trickles along the tape and drops in front of Bond. And so looks for a minute here like we're right back in set number 1 for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, with Mount Vernon taking the 2-point lead right now, 8-6. And, of course, you got your star player serving right there with how effective she's been tonight. And she clearly has been the key to the cornerstone, rather, of this Mount Vernon volleyball team. So it's going to be interesting to see how Glacier Peak responds, and taking out Peterson, having that lack of size to some degree, without her in the mix. It's going to be interesting to see how Mount Vernon can take advantage and how Glacier Peak can find a way to neutralize Olivia Pratt.
Big swing from Ayat, double contact called against the middle Aguilar. She tries to set that one. So in that sequence, Natalie Ayat passed the serve. She then set the ball on the second time over, and then she hit out of the pipe on the third time. So Natalie Ayat really stepping up, senior outside who's been playing up on her club teams. I believe her age, she's required to play with kids a class above her. Jordan Sprink checks in for the Grizzlies. Nice pickup by Kate Hansen there. Sprink out of the back row. Ayat roll shot into the hole. That's a nice heads-up play from Natalie Ayat. She swung hard a couple times, put the defense on their heels, and then she goes up and just shows off the range with a little change of tempo shot.
Great touch by Ayat on that one. I mean, as effective as could be, knowing exactly what she needed to do to put the ball where it needed to be, and getting the point as a result.
Summer Bean with a little roll shot of her own right over the top of the block. Jordan Sprink sticks a foot out but can't pick that one up. That's going to bring Lily Zavala, libero for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, to the service line. Ayat, perfect pass for Sprink. Outside, and the hammer is dropped by Claire Johnson. Beautiful set from Sprink, right on tempo with Johnson. There's not much you're going to do about that as a defense.
Yeah, and getting back into the groove of things for her after a couple struggles up on the front in the front court in terms of helping the serve go over the net. A great way to bounce back for Johnson on that one.
Good tough serve from Christina Argue there. She keeps Mount Vernon out of system, earns the point. She continues to serve. Zavala, perfect pass for Bikeman. Right side for Lee. That comes off the head of Guth, and she looks a bit rattled, perhaps. I don't know if it came directly off her head or if it caught the tape first. The officiating staff looking to see. Sometimes it just gets you in the eye or gets you in the nose, and you have to, the eyes tear up. Nobody likes that. It's going to be Abby Peterson who checks in for her. Abby, 6-foot junior for Glacier Peak, taking the place of a 6-foot junior. So like for like switch there. We'll hope that Emma's all right. She's had herself a pretty good game tonight. She's getting checked out by the GP medical staff. Meanwhile, perfect pass from Kate Hansen, and there's Claire Johnson. What a pickup by Lily Zavala. Outside, Summer Bean, high over the top. Pickup by Hansen. Run down by Sprink out of the back row. Argue. Here's right side back row attack for Lee, and that just misfires, and it was Naomi Oates with the dig there for Mount Vernon. So Abby Peterson's trip across is short-lived as that brings the libero Hansen back to serve. Sydney Peterson back into the front row for the Grizzlies. Here's Summer Bean. Hammers that ball off the block. Johnson tries to pick it back up and can't. And Summer Bean, I've been really impressed with the speed of her arm swing and how hard she is hitting the ball today.
And that was the difference in that point right there, because that was a stellar defensive attempt by Peterson and Johnson, but because of Bean's serve, because of the swiftness in her serve, just too much for them to handle, and and take the point themselves.
Speaking of Summer Bean's serve, it's a nice sprint trying to send Ayat back up to the net off the pass that was about 23 feet off, and just couldn't do it there. So Summer Bean at the service line now for the Bulldogs. She goes after argue again. This one's really tight. Sprint double contact there. Pretty easy call for the officials. She tries to set Peterson on the tight ball. And Summer Bean doing the work. She's got a little breathing room for her Bulldogs here in set number 3.
That's proven to be a little bit costly. Is there a lack of execution in their serves in set number 3 for Glacier Peak? I think that was about at least the third failed serve of this set for Glacier Peak, and they find themselves down by 4 as a result.
Summer Bean with the service ace off the tape, and it is 15-11. Apologies to those of you following along at home. I just realized that the score bug is not on the screen right here in set number 3. We'll get that back up shortly. But I'm Matty Bishop here alongside David Gillespie. David, we've seen a little bit of everything in this one. Look for a moment like Natalie Ayat might take over here in set number 3. We've seen Olivia Pratt for Mount Vernon have a great set. We've seen Sydney Peterson for Glacier Peak answer. Ayat was very strong here early in the set number 3, but it's the Bulldogs that have the lead.
Yeah, Olivia, led by their senior star player in Olivia Pratt, who's just been taking care of business left and right anywhere you put her on the court in this one. And, yeah, it's been very surprising to see Mount Vernon handling their business the way they are against the size of Glacier Peak, having to deal with someone like Amanda Peterson who stands at 6'1" in the front court. But they're doing it, frankly, with ease right now as they take control with a 4-point lead right now.
Oh, Summer Bean, I think, might have gotten robbed there. I thought that ball found the end line. The line judge immediately indicated that he didn't see it. And that's unfortunate, I think, for the Bulldogs. As Summer Bean, another aspect of that senior leadership here for Mount Vernon, her, Olivia Pratt, and Abby Beichman. That ball looked to have come off the antenna and down, so maybe turnabout fair play there as we got one missed call where the line judge may or may not have missed the call on the end line, and then another one that looked like it popped off the antenna. Very difficult to see from this angle here. And suddenly it is Grace Pollitt serving 16, serving 12. Mount Vernon in the lead. She gets the ace. And again, it's serve receive for the Grizzlies that has struggled tonight. They make a shift. It's Ayat, Hansen, and Bond now after Argue gets ace there. Pollitt continues to serve. Hansen pops this one up. Johnson has a lot of work to do to run it down. Peterson just rolls it over the top. And a fortunate overfeed from Mount Vernon. Johnson just pushes that into the back row, gives the Bulldogs a free ball, and that was sloppy all the way around, including the hitting area that results in a point for Glacier Peak.
Yeah, that was one of those points. You didn't know who that was going to go to with how improperly executed it was. And, of course, Mount Vernon unable to get the ball within bounds, and as a result, cost up another point.
Here's Olivia Pratt and a big block, but great cover from Alexis Aguilar. Sydney Peterson, what a dig from Shelby Lee. Run down by Beichman, free ball sent across by Summer Bean. Ayat. Here's Peterson again. That one puts Shelby Lee, or puts Abby, no, that's Shelby Lee, puts her on her backside, and Sydney Peterson on display there. Natalie Ayat with the big jump top spin at the service line, and I feel like we've sang this song before, David.
Yeah, and it was a shame for Abby Beckman because that was a great dig on her part, but unable to, unfortunately, come up with a point in the end result. And you find now Glacier Peak inching their way closer and closer to tying this set up, 17 apiece potentially.
Ayat just hammering that jump serve. That's a pair of aces for those of you keeping score at home. 16 serving 17 now. And Natalie Ayat hitting that ball. Earlier in the match, I don't think she was hitting that jump topspin with a whole lot of confidence. Right now, she is going to town on that ball. And there's the risk to reward ratio. You get two aces.
Right there, you know?
Yeah, you get two aces, and you keep going with that big aggressive serve, you're going to miss. But any coach out there will take a 2-to-1 ace to error ratio. Beichman at the service line for Mount Vernon. Argue, good pass from her. Johnson, she goes back for Peterson on the right side. Nice pickup by Bean, a little low. Pratt's going to get an out-of-system swing. Dig Ayat. Johnson again pushes that ball out to the right side, and I have no idea what they just called.
Yeah, that looked a little odd to me.
Just pointing to the center line. Someone was under the center line, but the whole play looked like it was 10 feet back, and it was someone with the pivot. Oh, my. Dave Thorne doesn't like it. Abby Beichman will continue to serve for the Bulldogs. Nice short serve. Argue struggles with that one. Johnson, and Pratt puts it away. Again, Olivia Pratt doesn't care who's setting for her. She's going to hammer it every single time, and Glacier Peak's going to call a timeout here towards the end of set number 3. They keep battling back. The Bulldogs keep inching away. We're going to take a quick break. You want to see the end of this here on STSPN.com.
Every year, thousands of groups depend on Adrenaline Fundraising to help reach their financial goals. Adrenaline Fundraising is about developing leaders through commitment, work ethic, and follow-through. Adrenaline has several products including gold cards, coupon books, cookie dough, donation programs, and many other options to help teams raise the funds needed for their programs. Adrenaline's new app called UpPay will help teams raise money while providing their supporters the ability to earn cash back on everyday purchases at places like Starbucks, Nike, Red Robin, and over 200+ national retailers. Adrenaline Fundraising is this season's sponsor of the STSPN's Play of the Game Award.
Welcome back inside. Glacier Peak has used both of their timeouts here in set number 3. Mount Vernon with Abby Beichman, the senior setter at the service line, trying to close out and take a 2-1 lead, but Sydney Peterson and her Grizzlies looking to have something to say about that. It's Shelby Lee, however, from the right side for Mount Vernon. Plants that ball on the end line, and I've been very impressed. The first set was very much all Olivia Pratt. Set number 2, and especially here in set number 3, Abby Beichman's doing a nice job of distributing the ball to her hitters, David.
Yeah, really proven to be a major asset to this Mount Vernon Bulldogs team. And taking advantage of the costly errors made by Glacier Peak as they've failed numerous serves in this particular set. That's probably made the difference in leading or finding themselves behind in this one.
Sydney Peterson back to the service line for the Grizzlies as Christina Argue gets the kill off the touch. Peterson with the service ace against Pratt. Abby Peterson back into the front row. So Emma Gluth still on the sideline. I'm not sure that we will see any more of her tonight, although she looks to be in good spirits. That's a good sign. Pratt over the top, dig Ayat. Johnson, right side. Here's Carly Bond. Hammers it off of Zavala. Beichman's going to run this one down. Zavala with a lot of work to do from the end line. It's a free ball for Argue. Here's Bond again with the big hammer. That one's off the touch. The line judge and the up ref had the touch. And so this lineup with the junior Peterson in the middle, we'll call her the younger, the Abby Peterson, as opposed to the Sydney Peterson. Argue on the left side and Bond on the right side. We're now seeing a net violation or under the net called against Mount Vernon. And so it's a pair of those we've had called here, and it's still that jump top spin of Sydney Peterson. So the court shifted to the right side a little bit for Glacier Peak right now. Peterson misses the jump top spin. Olivia Pratt to the service line for Mount Vernon.
And I'll preach it again. It appears to be that they're really struggling with their serves in this particular set. As that's got to be 6th or 7th time they failed to execute their serve, and they could find themselves winning this set had they been properly executing their serves from the get-go.
A gift from Olivia Pratt there. She's been very good from the service line tonight. She misses that one. Jordan Sprink into serve and set for the Grizzlies. She's got Johnson, Argue, and Peterson, Abby variety in the front row. And that's a nice kill again from Shelby Lee on the right side, and she is maybe not with all the authority of Olivia Pratt, but she is having herself a beautiful match tonight.
Yeah, especially in set number 3, really taking the torch well from Olivia Pratt in carrying this Mount Vernon team to a 2-point lead as we get closer and closer to the end of this set number 3.
Here's Argue from the right side. Nice pickup there from Naomi Wood. Outside now, Summer Bean. Roll shot over the top. Sprink knew it was coming. She took the first 2 steps on it. She's seen it before. but she overran it and couldn't handle it. And it is set point with Lily Zavala at the service line for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. Hansen, Sprink, in the middle, Abby Peterson. She covers her own but can't control, and it's the big block in the middle from Grace Paulette. The big block from 5'8", Grace Paulette that seals set number 3 and the 2-1 lead for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs.
Yeah, this one was a wild one, this set in particular, with it constantly exchanging leads and Mount Vernon coming up with the big last couple points that really sealed the deal, and they go into set number 4 with a 2-1 lead.
So I'm Matty Bishop, he's David Gillespie. We're here with our producer, Todd Elvig. This is STSPN.com. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We've got set 4 and potentially set 5 coming up. So get on the internet, share that link right now. Send it out to someone who you know should be watching this. We'll be right back. You got 2 minutes to get that done.
That Speedway Chevrolet is part of the Lee Johnson Auto family? That means 84 years of serving you the LJ way. Need a truck? We have the perfect truck to fit your needs. Half tons, 1 ton, 2-wheel drives, and 4-wheel drives. Our finance specialists are here to help you, whether you have good credit or bad credit. We're just off Highway 522 at West Main Street in Monroe.
Lee Johnson Auto Family, the LJ way.
We are all frustrated with the high cost of heating and cooling our homes. At GNS, we are completely changing the way you keep your home comfortable. Because we are Snohomish County's premier Lennox dealer, we can design a perfect system for you, one that will save you a lot of money on your utility bill. The Lennox Home Comfort System creates the ideal home environment. Enjoy innovation in every season with precise, quietly efficient Lennox heat pumps that keep your life simply perfect. Call GNS Heating, Cooling, and Electric today or visit us at gsheating.com.
McDaniel's Do It Center is located in beautiful Snohomish, Washington. Locally owned.
Welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School. We are ready for set number 4. The Mount Vernon Bulldogs with a 2-1 lead over the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. And I know those of you who listen to my matches, who listen to me call volleyball on STSPN.com know that I say this a lot. I do that because it's important. But you need to please get out and support these sponsors who are helping to bring you these matches. This doesn't come for free. Todd Elvig and the STSPN crew have a lot of time and energy and effort invested into this. It's because they believe in shining a spotlight on the accomplishments of these junior athletes. That's what drives them. That's why they do this. Nobody's making it rich off of this. David and I are volunteering our time. I'm pretty sure Todd is pretty close to volunteering his time. And we need you to go out and help the companies who are helping support this financially. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Summer Bean starts off for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs with a bit of an overserve there in set number 4. And David, it's Natalie Ayotte and that jump top spin at the service line for Glacier Peak again.
Yeah, she is terrific. She is a technician in her own right. She has been as effective as they come with what she's been able to do. Having to carry a lot of this team in these past couple sets. And she's going to need some help in this one if they want to come out and tie this up again 2-2.
Olivia Pratt with the low flat swing there finds its way to the end line. I thought for sure there was a net violation somewhere in the middle of that rally, but nobody caught it. Grace Paulette with the serve for Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon going to try and take one home here, take a W home from Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak trying to force a set number 5, and Sydney Peterson hammers that one off the block to Paulette outside Olivia Pratt. Nice pickup by Hansen. Johnson runs it down. Argue pushes that ball into the middle. Here comes Pratt. She swings through. Nice dig, Ayat. Johnson outside for Argue again. She hammers that one through and down as she finds the sideline. And so Christina Argue's had a bit of a roller coaster evening, but that time she came through when it really mattered.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you want to get this start off in this set, as they, need to win this one in order to stay within this match. So, great way to start set number 4 for Glacier Peak.
There's a misfire for the Grizzlies as Peterson's serve was good enough to earn the free ball, but it couldn't be picked up and dealt with by the Glacier Peak defense, and that brings back to the service line. That is, I believe, that is number 9. That is Abby Beichman. And she starts off with the service ace. She has been exceptional tonight. 5'7", senior setter. Distributed the ball extremely well. We've talked a lot about Pratt. She's also used Shelby Lee at the right pin quite effectively. There's the pass from Ayat outside Argue with the big swing pickup by Lily Zavala. Pushed outside now for Pratt, and just a little bit late in the transition as Argue. Olivia Pratt gets the kill going cross court, and I like that angle she hits down towards the 10-foot line. She's hitting a really sharp angle there, and it's been very effective for the Bulldogs.
And I think that's what's been the key thus far in this matchup against Glacier Peak. Why they're taking the lead this far has been the aspect of versatility on Mount Vernon. Whether it's been Beichman, whether it's been Lee, whether it's been Pratt, even Aguilar to some degree. Everyone being willing to take the torch from one another on this Mount Vernon Bulldogs team. It's been the key to why they've been possessing the lead thus far.
That overfeed put down easy by Johnson, and that's a rare miscue from the libero Lily Zavala. Jordan Sprink in to serve and set for the Grizzlies. She's at the service line. Your front row is Johnson, Argue, and Abby Peterson. So Emma Glusnight, yes, appears to be done. Johnson tips that one off the block, resets. Abby Peterson looking for a hole. It's going to get a free ball, and it's just out of play. And so Glacier Peak improvising here and making good things happen.
And I think it helps feeding off the crowd's energy, because if you find yourself down 2-1 in terms of sets in a volleyball match, you definitely would rather be the home team than the away team, because having that motivation from the crowd certainly helps in terms of rallying back.
Great dig by Hansen, and an even better pickup off the block by Sprink, but that ball is pounded off the block, and then the antenna kill on the right side for Shelby Lee there. And again, it's Abby Beichman just distributing the ball all over the floor. Summer Bean has been good. She comes back into the front row. Olivia Pratt to the service line.
Bean's another one that's been really contributing for this Mount Vernon team that I forgot to note. She's been spectacular, especially delivering the kills up front.
Good pass by Argue there. A little bit of a misconnect between Sprink and Abby Peterson. That is a wicked serve. Low, flat, straight over the tape, and a nice pass from Hansen, and nice swing from Christina Argue as she gets the back set there and puts that ball away. She'll go back to serve now. Naomi Oakes checks in place of Pratt. She'll play across the back row for Mount Vernon. Oates, pardon me, not Oakes. Argue's serve goes right after Oates. Beichman runs it down, pushed up over the top by Lee. Here's Sprink setting outside for Ayat. A little bit of a miss hit there to the right side for Lee, and she pounds that one off the hands, and Shelby Lee has been the dominant force on offense for Mount Vernon here in set 3 and set 4 so far.
Yeah, basically just replaying her performance from set number 3, where she really took control of this Glacier Peak team and carrying Mount Vernon to a set number 3 victory, and certainly executing yet again early on as scores now tied up 7 apiece in number 4.
One thing to note is a good pass there again from Christina Argue as she struggled through the match. Here in set number 4, she's been pretty solid on the serve receive. We'll see if Mount Vernon stays after or if they try and go somewhere else. Beichman now setting right side for Lee, and it's the big double block of Peterson and Ayat there. It's kind of a trap set for a hitter. The setter gets stuck way on that right side. The middle knows way ahead of time where that set is going to go, and Sydney Peterson just eats that one up. Good serve from Hansen. Out of system set Zavala. Free ball. Hansen. Sprink into the middle for Peterson. Nice pickup by Bikeman. Out of system set Zavala from the back row. Oates just pushes over, gives the free ball. Argue. Here comes that's Claire Johnson, not Carly Bond, and she misfires just out of play. So good work here as Glacier Peak keeping Mount Vernon out of system, but unable to convert on the free balls. Due largely to the good defense of the Bulldogs. Shelby Lee with the serve. Argue really tight on that one. And that's got to be 4, 5, 6 contacts. Or maybe there was a touch. Maybe Paulette touched that on the other side. Lee continues to serve. It's Ayat, Argue, and Hansen in the serve receive. Argue pops that one straight up. Run down by Sprink. Back set for Johnson. Lefty roll shot over the top. Picked up by Oates. Outside now for Bean. And she once again hammers the ball off the block and down. And it is the diversity of the offense for Mount Vernon that appears to be the difference in the long run.
Absolutely. Like I was saying earlier about the versatility of this team. Bean stepping up in the front court right there with a vicious spike. That helps Mount Vernon to improve to a 2-point lead now.
Sydney Peterson gets a swing on that funky play. Zavala with the dig, and Argue can't come up with it. It is, I believe that was it was either a back row swing from Lee or Lee set for Bikeman in the front row in an out-of-system play. Hard to tell the difference between the 8s and the 9s there. Coach Dave Thorne's going to take a timeout for the Grizzlies. Mount Vernon looking to take the 3-1 win into the night. Glacier Peak looking to fight back and force a set 5. We'll be right back here on STSPN.com.
When you shop at Ace Hardware in Everett and Lake Stevens, we'll help you find what you're looking for and offer friendly advice too. Owners Greg and Christine are all about serving their customers and their community. They support local high school sports and many other community organizations and events. So the next time you need help with your to-do list or project around the house, bring it to Ace. They'll greet you at the door and help you find whatever you need fast. Show your support for locally owned businesses. Shop Ace Hardware just off Highway 9 in Lake Stevens and Evergreen Way in Everett. Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Shelby Lee back at the service line for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. She goes after Kate Hansen. Nice pass from her. Jordan Sprink backs up for Ayat out of the middle, and Natalie Ayat with the kill running out of the middle in that serve receive, and that's a nice setup. We've seen that a couple times from Glacier Peak. But, David, I think it was the story of what we're seeing happen during the timeout there. If you look at one huddle was dancing. The other huddle looked pensive and a little nervous.
And I think that's the thing about this matchup and why Mount Vernon has been able to have so much success. It's because of the energy they bring forth on the court, where you see them celebrating, you see them having fun. And it's surprising, too, furthermore, that they're the away team doing this.
I don't believe that one.
It's a matter of really just bringing, I think, a legitimate amount of energy to this matchup. That may be also a key difference in why Glacier Peak has not been able to secure this one at home this far.
Summer Bean with the big kill there. She goes back to serve. Johnson pushes this ball outside for Peterson, and she misfires. No touch detected. So trying to feed the beast. Sydney Peterson had a huge impact on set number 2. They've been trying to force the ball to her a little bit, and I'm not sure that is that's working out for Glacier Peak right now. Natalie Ayat will come back to the service line. This has been a very good rotation for Glacier Peak through the course of the evening. That big jump top spin giving the passers for Mount Vernon trouble. It's a good one there. Nice pickup, good out-of-system set by Bikeman. And, thought Hansen might have had that covered as it took a funky spin off the block. But Christina Argue does what any good outside hitter is going to do there and try and pop it up in the air, not knowing that her libero was drawing a bead on that ball. Grace Paulette serving for Mount Vernon. Perfect pass. Johnson, right side for Peterson. Overfed on the dig. Argue gets a swing. Paulette with another dig. Bikeman pushes this ball outside. Little tip over the top. Nice read by Johnson. Good eyes by her. Down ball out of the back row from Ayat. Picked up by Paulette. Back out of the right side. Shelby Lee now. Good dig from Hansen. Here's Peterson in the middle, and oh my. I don't even need to hit the ball, says Sydney. I'm just going to go tip it over you. Abby Peterson back into the front row as Sydney Peterson, the senior middle, goes to the service line.
Yeah, not much of a vertical leap needed from Peterson with the height she possesses.
Jump topspin, nice play into the middle and a lift call, and that is a, what he's calling is that Bikeman is taking the ball angled one way, carrying it around, and then releasing it forward for the middle, and that's a really tight call. I'm not sure you see that called in even the beach game where setting is notoriously called tight. Misfire there from Carly Bond, and it's going to be Abby Bikeman back to the service line. Set number 4, 15-12 in favor of the visiting Mount Vernon Bulldogs as they look to put this one away. I'm Matty Bishop alongside David Gillespie, and there is a service ace from Abby Bikeman as once again right at that seam between Christina Argue and Natalie Ayotte.
And I think that's the thing about Mount Vernon is going back to that note about energy level and the energy level that they're bringing forth here at home for Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak appears to be tired in this match and not being able to, with how little they've been able to execute thus far in in this fourth set. So, really proving to be costly for Glacier Peak if they want to get the W in this one, because Mount Vernon has been all over the place with their speed and with their energy and their excitement all around.
Well, and the big defensive play there from the setter, Abby Bikeman, as Natalie Ayotte absolutely tattooed a ball from the pipe. That's the middle of the back row. Bikeman pops it up, and Pratt gets the kill. That leads to a timeout by the Grizzlies. We're going to go ahead and stay here with you through this one as we're going into the end of set number 4 here. Mount Vernon certainly fun and play volleyball right now.
I think they're stealing their performance away from Glacier Peak. And it's not a knock on Glacier Peak in terms of their passion and what they're doing right now. It's more so a matter of just them being tired because they've been all over the court with how much Mount Vernon's been able to spread them apart. And certainly taking control in this one yet again as they look to potentially cruise to a potential 3-1 victory if this continues.
Good out-of-system set from Kate Hansen there. Back the other way. Natalie Ayotte picks that ball up. Johnson slaps at it. Hansen gets it over. And there's a beautiful dig from Hansen, and what a rundown by Ayotte. And Hansen misfires, gets a little too excited, and goes long with it. So the big swing down the right side. Once again, it's Shelby Lee from the right pin. Hansen does a nice job of popping that ball up. I don't think she used her platform. It was some combination of chest and chin, I think, but a good play by her.
Great dig attempt by Ayotte, just a little too much force on the ball that ended up knocking it out of bounds, and Glacier Peak finds themselves down by 5 still.
Jordan Sprink in as they get the much-needed side out there. She will serve and set. Claire Johnson, Christina Argue, and Abby Peterson in the front row right now for Glacier Peak. This ball shot wide in a lift call. It's consistent with how he's called the match with regards to the setter's hands. That tip, if you have a prolonged contact, a catch and throw is what the rule book says. That is not allowed. Sprink will continue to serve for Glacier Peak as they are, not to be dramatic, but at this point they're pretty much fighting for their life here. Nice pickup on the swing by Pratt. Jordan Sprink with the dig. Over the top, Aguilera, nice pickup, Zavala. Right side now, Lee. Oh, way to get under it, Natalie Ayotte. Out of system set from Hansen. Argue with the swing again. Beautiful dig from Bikeman. Out of system set. Nicely done by Shelby Lee, and Olivia Pratt is blocked by the combination of Claire Johnson and Abby Peterson, and so that might have been a crucial point for Glacier Peak to stay with this one. Couple big defensive plays on both sides, and this is fun to watch.
Great block by Johnson on that one. I mean, that was as effective as it could potentially get.
That ball drops right on the end line, about as close as you can get. The line judge was all over it. Summer Bean hitting out of the back row there, I believe. Olivia Pratt back to the service line now.
Let's see if she can take this one away.
Natalie Ayotte runs it down. Free ball sent by Johnson. Here's this ball outside for Bean, and again off the block and out of play. So Claire Johnson just not able to get those hands angled into the court and stuff that ball. She's getting tooled over there by Summer Bean, who's having herself a heck of a night, even with just balls that she's hitting off the block. There's a beautiful serve from Olivia Pratt. Mount Vernon in control. Dave Thorne has used both of his timeouts already here in set number 4. It's up to the Grizzlies now. Not a whole lot the coach can do.
And in addition to the service error issues that they've been having to cope with tonight, clearly an issue of miscommunication as well, as we just saw a couple points ago, where we've seen that sporadically throughout the night, and Glacier Peak really needs to tighten it up if they want to find themselves back in this potential elimination set.
Another service ace from Olivia Pratt there. It's all Mount Vernon now, as the wheels appear to have fallen off, and Pratt gives him a gift, gives him one back, takes a little bit of the pressure off. Christina Argue to the service line now with a world's worth of work to do for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies here in set number 4. Remember, the winner of this one will go to 3-1. Lake Stevens, the only undefeated team in Wesco 4A, going into tonight at 3-0. No updates on how that's worked out. Net violation call against Aguilar there. And a gift for the Grizzlies. Christina Argue continues to serve. Service ace right between Bean and Zavala. So nice job by Argue there. Staying aggressive with the serve, working hard to get her team back into this one.
Yeah, a rare situation of miscommunication from the Mount Vernon end.
It's been a pretty clean match on their side. Not a lot of unforced errors from the Bulldogs. Zavala, this is a really tight ball. Abby Peterson up there to deal with it, and it's an double contact call against the setter. Interesting call.
Bikeman having her fair share of words about that.
He calls the double. She's saying, I hit it with one hand. How can I double if I turned and dumped it with one hand? And he's saying, no, you doubled. She's saying, okay.
Doesn't appear to agree with that call.
It was a funky call. Argue continues to serve. Zavala pops this one out, about 13 feet out. Right side, Summer Bean, and I thought that one was long.
That looked very close, yeah.
It was very close. The line judge on that side has been pretty consistent tonight. I thought that one was out of play, but a bottom must have dropped out of it, and it found the end line. Lily Zavala, the libero, serving for Mount Vernon. Here's Natalie Ayotte. She misfires. When it rains, it pours. Sometimes the hardest thing to do as a volleyball player is to get out of your own way. We talk a lot about focusing on what works and letting the mistakes go. You fix the mistakes later. Match point right now for Mount Vernon. Jordan Sprink. Natalie Ayotte, roll shot over the top. Nice pickup by Bikeman. Out of system set, Zavala. It's tight. Summer Bean somehow gets there. Dig by Ayotte. Here's Aguilar out of the back row, and she gets the kill, and Glacier Peak keeps going. Kate Hansen to the service line. Sydney Peterson to the front row. So Johnson, Peterson, and Ayotte in the front row. Jordan Sprinks, your setter. Christina Argue is your other back row player, your back row outside. And if it was going to happen, it would probably happen with this lineup for Glacier Peak. And a little luck never killed anyone. Kate Hansen doesn't like the fact that she served that ball into the tape, but hey, we'll take it. Timeout, Mount Vernon Bulldogs. It is match point. We'll stay with you. No need to take a break on match point. David, thanks so much for joining me tonight. If we don't get a fifth set, then I'm just going to say I've really enjoyed working with you.
It's been very fun.
We've had a good time. Thank you for bringing our color commentary. If we do get a fifth set, we're going to pretend none of this ever happened, and we're going to do it all again at the end of set 5. Hey, thank you out there, everyone who's watching right now. We really appreciate the opportunity and the honor of being able to bring you these Wesco 4A matches. It really is a pleasure to shine a bright light on what these young student athletes are doing. Right, it's closing on probably 8. It's 8:30 right now, so we'll be out of here. These kids will have to break down the gym. A post-match meeting. They'll be out of here 9 o'clock at the earliest. Mount Vernon's got a long ride home. They've got to be in class early tomorrow morning. So really a pleasure to be able to showcase the work that these student athletes are putting in. Here's Kate Hansen from the service line for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. 21 serving 24, match point for the Bulldogs. Abby Beichman, right side, Shelby Lee, and that is hammered down. Again, the big block of Peterson and Ayat and Glacier Peak. There's no quit in this team, David.
Yeah, we saw Sydney Peterson really contribute heavily, significantly for the Glacier Peak offense and defense with what she's been able to do with her size defensively. But hadn't seen much of her in set number 3, but really shining again late in set number 4. And got to tip my hat to Glacier Peak and the rally that they've generated thus far late in set number 4, because we're back to a volleyball match yet again.
Kate Hansen with another tape shot ace and another timeout from the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. Kate is a steady player. She's a really even-keeled kid. Lot like her dad. Her mom is hugely involved with the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, the booster club here. Really, really good volleyball family, and can't think of a nicer kid. I'd like to see 2 tape shots go her way. Although I can tell you right now, she's standing there mentally preparing herself not to hit the tape on this one. Mount Vernon now, all the pressure's on them. They had it. They had a bunch of set points in front of them. Things have not gone their way. Their coaches used 2 timeouts, as has Glacier Peak, and we're about to finish up set 4 here. Once again, it's Kate Hansen at the service line. This ball clean into the middle. Beichman gets under it. Summer Bean over the top, and that ball is out. No touch detected, and we are tied at 24. Grace Paulette thinks that ball was in. That ball was clearly out, David.
That appeared to be out on my end, too. I did not see how that could have gone in Mount Vernon's favor on that particular one.
Shift in the serve receive for Mount Vernon, and maybe some confusion now. And another tape shot ace for Hansen. That's 3 tape shot aces out of 5 serves for Kate Hansen here at the end of set number 4. And all of a sudden we have set point for the Grizzlies. And what kind of karma did the Mount Vernon Bulldogs invoke to deserve this?
Tides have clearly shifted in the Grizzlies' favor late in set number 4.
And Hansen finally misses one. We're tied at 25. We'll play till the first team can get a 2-point advantage. It's Shelby Lee back to the service line for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. She's going to serve to Ayat, Argue, and Hansen. Jordan Sprinks, your setter. Sydney Peterson, your middle. And it's Christina Argue shanking that one into the bleachers, and it is match point once again for the Bulldogs. And here's the shift. Argue drops out. Claire Johnson back to pass. We'll see where Lee goes with this one. Match point, Mount Vernon. It's right at Hansen. The feed back over the top. Picked up, barely kept alive. It's going to be a free ball. Sprink digs it. Johnson out of system set. Ayat somehow pounds it off the block. I thought that might have been 4 contacts. Argue pushes the ball forward for Sprink. Sydney Peterson, what a dig! Oh, she couldn't control it. Shelby Lee was all over it, but she couldn't control it, and guess who? Sydney Peterson with a crucial kill for the Grizzlies.
And it is getting rowdy up in Glacier Peak's gymnasium. What a set number 4 this is.
We're tied at 26. Carly Bond back into the front row. Claire Johnson serving and setting for the Grizzlies. Nice pass from Zavala. Beichman, funky timing with Paulette. Pick up by Johnson, out of system set. Hansen for Bond on the right side, and it's off of Zavala into the back wall and out, and it is set point again for the Grizzlies.
Glacier Peak finally feeding off of the crowd's energy by taking control of this one right now. Only need 1 point to close this one out and come back down, I believe, at 5 points from the 24 mark.
Johnson, the senior, misses that one by about 6 feet, and we're tied at 27. Summer Bean, the senior outside hitter for Mount Vernon, at the service line. She has had a very good night tonight, as have her fellow seniors, Abby Beichman and Olivia Pratt. Kate Hansen with the pass there. Out of system set from Sydney Peterson. Christina Argue goes for it. Nice job. Beichman brings it back for Pratt, and it's that sharp angle kill from Olivia Pratt. She had been quiet for a while. That's an opportune time for her to come up with a big swing. And once again, we have match point. I believe this is match point number 4 for the Bulldogs. That they have served for, I should say. Many more that they were on serve receive for. Sydney Peterson, and the senior middle, Sydney Peterson, misses for the Grizzlies, and that's going to give the W to the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. They've got a good, happy ride home in front of them. What a performance by Mount Vernon. What a performance by Glacier Peak. What a fun end to set number 4 and a fun end to this match. David, I have really enjoyed working with you this evening. Thank you very much. We will be back in just a moment, and we're going to go really fast for our Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Match here on STSPN.com. Hey, catch us. It's going to be about 1 minute here. We'll see you in just a second.
Every year, thousands of groups depend on Adrenaline Fundraising to help reach their financial goals. Adrenaline Fundraising is about developing leaders through commitment, work ethic, and follow through. Adrenaline has several products including gold cards, coupon books, cookie dough, donation programs, and many other options to help teams raise the funds needed for their programs. Adrenaline's new app called UpPay will help teams raise money while providing their supporters the ability to earn cash back on everyday purchases at places like Starbucks, Nike, Red Robin, and over 200 plus national retailers. Adrenaline Fundraising is this season's sponsor of the STSPN's Play of the Game Award.
We're on. We're ready. All right, welcome back inside Glacier Peak High School. I am here with our Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Match. It is the senior setter for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, Abby Beichman. Abby, you did a fantastic job of running your offense tonight.
Thank you.
You distributed the ball very well. What I want to talk to you about first is, as a senior leader on this team, and you can talk about how your senior leadership came together for this, but towards the end of set 4, when you let so many match points slip away, how do you get this team back on the right track?
I think the focus was just encouraging everybody and just trusting each other, because we all knew we could do it. And like, we've been working on this stuff of like siding out fast, and I think we just knew we could do it and to like push harder and just get the ball up.
Abby, you have such a talented outside hitter in Olivia Pratt.
Yes.
And she was so good in set number 1.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job of getting your other hitters involved. Talk to me. One thing that really stuck out was how selfless this team is. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, honestly, our bench is like always encouraging us, and everyone on the match, we just want everyone to do well. So it's really helpful to have like such a good team dynamic. And we have good hitters, but everyone's like, we think everyone's just as good as the other, and we really work hard together, especially in practice, in games. Everyone's doing well.
Abby, it certainly showed tonight. Fantastic job. Congratulations.
Thank
we won't
you.
hold you long. I know you've got a long bus ride home, but I'm sure it's going to be a pretty happy one.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching tonight's matchup. I'm Matty Bishop with my color commentator, David Gillespie, our Adrenaline Fundraiser Player of the Match, Abby Beichman, and, of course, our producer here at STSPN.com, Todd Elvig. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We will be back with more Wesco 4A volleyball coming up for you real soon on STSPN.com. God, you're even good at that. Nice job.